Good afternoon. This is Travis Clardy, President and CEO of the Texas Healthcare Association, coming to you with another installment of our weekend review wrap-up from Austin, Texas. As you see behind me, the beautiful pink dome of the Texas State Capitol. Doesn't look too pink today. I hope everybody's staying warm out there. This has been a little chilly. I guess it's to be expected for February, but I'm hoping everybody has a particularly warm heart today because not only is it another installment of the Friday Weekend Review, it's also Valentine's Day. So if I can be your last reminder, those of you watching and tuning in, that before you go home, make sure you stop by the flower shop or candy shop or something and take care of your loved one and wish everyone there a very happy Valentine's Day. So this was a good week at the Capitol. We've got some things moving. It's a little empty today because both the House and the Senate adjourned again for the week, and we'll be back next week beginning Tuesday. But the pace is starting to quicken. The big news of the week is we received from Speaker Burrow's office the assignments for our committees and who's going to be chairing those committees and serving on those committees. A lot of things were done internally when the rules were passed to reduce by a few the number of committees, kind of merge some, which is something consistent with what we do in Texas in general with our state government. You know, I served on the Texas Sunset Commission, which is a process we go through to look at the different agencies and departments that the state has and we'll review those to see, are they doing a good job, are they spending money wisely, and do we need them in the first place? Well, the Speaker's office and the House and the rules will go through that and sometimes decide we can de-emphasize one particular area or overemphasize another or combine or merge them as the case may be. So there are fewer committees this session, I think 26, 28, and one of the major changes was they will all be chaired by a Republican member of the Texas House. And so I will say, I think Speaker Burrows and his team did a very good job of allocating those responsibilities among the members and picking leaders for those committees. The Democrat ranking member, I think, typically is going to be the vice chair of each of these committees, and that's a good thing. There's different numbers on each committee, but you go through and you can see who is serving where, but there's a lot more to it than meets the eye. It's 150 members, and the challenge is, and it's like playing Jenga. You pull one thing out and another one comes loose because you try to balance your committees where the majority party, Republicans, have a majority of the seats on the committee, and obviously now under our rules governed or chaired by a Republican member, senior member. And then you also have to balance out geography, balance out other issues for diversity's sake, so you don't wind up with one group of guys from East Texas on one committee, and so you try to have good gender mix, ethnic mix, good geographic mix, party mix, and also you try to match up aptitude with attitude of the members and put them in places where they can serve best with the history that they brought in. You know, in Texas we have a citizen legislature, and so the members that are here still keep their day jobs and have had a lot of experience in different places. So they hopefully get to put into places where they can serve best and bring their experience of life to bear for the benefit of the people of Texas. So just to go through a couple things with you, there's really three committees that are key, and I will say this, I mean this sincerely. Every committee that meets in the House and the Senate are important committees. These are issues that affect the daily lives of Texans and affect our budget and how we spend your tax dollars for the betterment of Texas. And so, but there are some committees that are for our purposes, for the Texas Healthcare Association and elder care and long-term care, that are more important than others. So while we all appreciate, I'm just flipping a page here, agriculture and livestock, very important, a great part of Texas as one of the biggest agricultural producers in the country, and certainly the biggest in many, many areas. We're not overly concerned about that with the Texas Healthcare Association. The three committees that really have the biggest impact on what we do and how we take care of the elderly in Texas Number one is appropriations. That's where the money is. That the counterpart in the Senate is the Senate Finance Committee, and that's chaired, as we've discussed previously, by Senator Joan Huffman of Houston. She is the chair of the Senate Finance. This cycle, for the 89th legislature, the Senate bill is the bill that starts. So SB 1 will be the bill, Senate Bill 1. Chairman Huffman has put together a draft budget that came out last week. That's been circulated. The House is working on it. Its version, and of course the governor has weighed in and established his priorities and things he is most concerned with in identifying emergency items, which he laid out in his State of State, which importantly and very much appreciated, he recognized the importance of long-term care in Texas and dealing with that issue and making sure we have the workforce and the people to take care of the people who took care of us. And so appropriations, I think, is a very, very good committee. I'm very pleased with the decisions and the selections made there. Now, it's made, first off, the Speaker chooses who will chair and be the vice chair of the committees. That's a part of his prerogative. And returning as chair is Greg Bonin, one of my classmates in the House, very capable. When I say he's smart, he's a brain surgeon. What I mean by that, he's very literally a brain surgeon. He's a neurosurgeon by profession and very knowledgeable of the budget. Has served in this capacity before, so we have an experienced hand at the wheel developing the budget from the House. Underneath, Greg will be article chairman that will be selected. Those have not been announced yet. So again, the article is most important. THCA is Article 2. Article 2 deals with health care and those expenses on a state level, a state budget level. The two articles that really make up the majority of the budget, probably somewhere in the neighborhood of 75%, at least 70% of the budget, collectively, Articles 2 and Article 3. Article 2 being our section dealing with healthcare, Article 3 being the article dealing with education, both public education and higher education. So those two, that's where we spend most of our money in Texas. And as I've mentioned before, and I'm sure we'll mention again, if you want to know what our priorities in Texas, the old expression, you put your money where your mouth is, and the budget is how we express our priorities in Texas for how we spend tax dollars for the betterment of Texas and Texans. And so it's a very important task. They build on the work that's been done previously and bring that forward. We expect this budget, when it's all said and done and finalized and put into operation, the new biennial budget will go in place September 1 of 2025. It's a 2-year biennial budget. And I expect that biennial budget to be somewhere in the neighborhood of $340 billion with the B dollars, over $1/3 of $1 trillion. That will be the Texas budget. So members that are serving on there, several of them are experienced. Again, it's a bipartisan committee, but there's several notable members that I have served with, and just looking through the list here, I'm not going to read them all because the appropriations is the single largest committee, and you'll have upwards of 25 members serving on that in the big room, the big committee room where that meets. And so we are waiting to see who Dr. Bonin and Speaker Burrows, I'm sure, will be talking along with their teams and the committee staff as they determine who will be best to serve to chair those different articles. So that will be an upcoming announcement. But again, I'm very, very pleased that Dr. Greg Bonin will be served as chair, and Mary Gonzalez, Democrat of El Paso, is returning as our vice chair. I think it's important for this process to have experienced people who've gone through it before and know what they're doing. And again, that's also true in the Senate. So very happy with those numbers, and we'll have those online for you can see where your members are. So folks, remember, in the THCA, this is important and interesting information, but where the rubber meets the road is identifying on those committees most important to us. Where is your senator? Where is your state representative? So that you can get in contact with them. Trust me, as a former legislator, nothing's more important than hearing from the home folks, the folks that vote in your district, live in your district, run businesses in the district. When they weigh in and say, hey, I want you to do this in your committee, this is important to us. Nothing means more than constituent feedback. They want to make their constituents happy, and they want to do right by the people of Texas. So You'll be seeing those lists for appropriations, and let us know if you've got a special relationship and the ability to come to Austin or see them when they are able to come home. You better do that in the next 2 or 3 weeks, next couple of months, certainly before spring break, because after that, they don't get to come home very much. They're tied to the wheel, particularly in appropriations, because they will begin their first meeting of appropriations will be next Tuesday, as a matter of fact, with the new committee, February 18th, at 8 a.m. They meet early in the morning. They organize to start working first, and the other committees begin to meet, and we'll start seeing them post committee meetings very shortly. We again will inform you of that. But the other committees I want to address with you, the ones that are particularly important to us, where we see most of our legislation go, or the legislation that can impact what we do in long-term care, both positively and negatively, we will see move through the Committee on Human Services. We've seen a change of leadership there, and I'm very pleased to see that Speaker Burrows named Chairman Lacey Hall to chair the Human Services Committee. I've served with Lacey, very capable member. She'll be assisted by the Vice Chair, Christian Manuel from the Beaumont area, and there are a number of committees. I'm going to name these because it's a larger committee. It's a very important committee with a number of members. So you have Lacey Hall as chair, Christian Manuel as the vice chair, and then seniority appointments are Candy Noble and Nate Schatzline, Republicans from the Metroplex area, and then the speaker appoints other members. So there's seniority appointments, speaker appointments. The longer you serve, the better ability you have to say, I want to serve on this committee, and the seniority pick must be represented. That's why seniority is very important in state government and federal government, for that matter. The longer you're there, the better you can select and have more say in making sure you serve on the committees that are most important to you and your district. Then there are speaker appointments where they go through, and the speakers team go through and fill in the blanks, and again try to match up and get that right mix of members. And those are Aka Davis, Mark DeRazio, Christina Morales, Carissa Richardson, Tony Rose, my good friend and classmate, Shelby Slauson, and Valerie Swanson. So that is your lineup for Human Services. But again, some very, very strong members there. I know that, for instance, with Tony, this is a passion of hers. She has served on this committee since we first got the legislature. And so there's some good experienced members there, but Chairman Hull will be taking this on for the first time in that leadership role. But again, I think this will be a good opportunity for her to excel, and I'm very confident of her abilities and what we'll do. We expect to have a very good working relationship with her and in that committee and with the other members. So that's Human Services. The other committee, which is important for us, is the Public Health Committee. Public Health, and bear with me as I flip over here to my page. I should have dog-eared it so I wouldn't have a hard time finding it. Public Health has had a little bit of a shake-up, and that happens in Texas state government because post-election there's always going to be a pretty good turnover. And there was I think over 30 new members of the Texas House out of 150. And that's a little on the high end, but you'll see nearly complete turnover every 10, 12 years in the Texas House. But we have, again, some great members in public health. My good friend and old East Texas running buddy, Dr. Gary Van Dever, Doctor of Education, former school superintendent, will be serving as the chair of public health. If you've not spent time with Gary, very calm, cool, collected, very deliberate, very, very thoughtful, and he'll do a fine job, no doubt in my mind about that. His vice chair will be Liz Campos. You may recall Liz joined us at our THCA fall show and trade show and convention in San Antonio, and Liz was a guest of ours and was on our legislative committee. And again, this is an area that she really wanted to serve. Glad to see her there. Seniority appointments, again, those members who picked this is where I want to be and use my seniority pick were John Busey from here in Austin, Liz Campos, James Frank, who's previously served as the chair of Human Services. So again, he's been in this space, another classmate of mine, very knowledgeable, and really cares deeply about the public health of Texans. Ann Johnson, of Houston, Harris County area, as well as Jolanda Jones of Harris County were seniority appointments. And then speaker appointments, Nicole Collier, Charles, of course, Nicole from the Fort Worth area, and we came in together as classmates. Charles Cunningham, Mike Alcott, a freshman, Katrina Pearson, a freshman, Mike Schofield, a lawyer from the Houston area, will be serving. The representative who came in to the seat for House District 11, Joanne Schaffner, will be serving on this committee, and again, very important committee, and Lauren Simmons as well. So again, I think we have a good lineup, a good group of productive members who I think will take this very, very seriously. You know, folks sometimes don't realize what these committees entail and what they take, but they will meet, and as bills a lot of bills have been filed, more bills will be filed, they'll be assigned to the committee, and the committee meetings will start very soon, probably within a couple of weeks. They will start meeting and hearing bills and moving those out to move onto the calendar and get onto the floor for deliberation and decision by the entire body. That's kind of why this process works. You divide up the work into subject matter areas, you put people in there, they make decisions to kind of winnow through the different bills, and then which ones move out of the committee and hit those top priorities, and the members can work among themselves. Oftentimes you will see members file very similar bills because it's important to their districts. But we don't need to pass 5 bills on the same subject with the same basic thrust. So there will be some consolidation, and usually very cooperatively among the members that let's move your bill, you know, I think it has a better chance, or I like that language, and then it gets to the floor, and Lord knows what happens, what's a bill hits the floor, subject to amendment, etc. But that's the process. You know, people call it sausage getting made, and it may not be pretty look, but you know what? At the end of the day, Texas does a great job of making sausage, and I'm confident that this group will do it again. So public health, again, those 3 committees: appropriations on the money, and then the human services, public health on policy affecting health care in general and long-term care specifically. They will be working on that. So again, I want each of you that is watching, and we will be sending more communications out to our members with this list of people. And again, I don't want to suggest that the other committees aren't important or that you shouldn't look at that too. But again, this is a THCA focused program and summary, and so we're going to highlight those 3. But all of you, it's important. I can't stress this enough. It's important for you to get to know your elected representatives and spend time with them, go see them, support them if you are so inclined and they're doing a good job, and reach out to them. They love to hear from you. So don't just do that for our committees, but for today's purposes and for the rest of this session, THCA, we really, really want to focus in on appropriations, human services, and public health. So that's where we are with that. Other things that happened this week, we did get, today as a matter of fact, your legislative team met. We do that every Friday. Before the meeting, Chris Traylor, one of our really valuable lobby members and consultants, and by the way, former commissioner, executive commissioner of the Health and Human Services Commission, let us know, hot off the presses, that the Senate has formed the working group for Article 2. Again, that's the part of the budget dealing with healthcare issues. And on that is Senator Colcourse, Chairman Colcourse, who is the Senate version of Human Services, dealing with healthcare issues in the Senate. Joining her on the 3-person working group is Senator Angela Paxton, and then Carol Alvarado from the Houston area, and a Democrat. So again, that group will get together and work over the nuts and bolts of healthcare expenditures, and then report back to the entire Senate Finance Committee. But I'm very pleased we have 3 experienced hands, very knowledgeable, and have worked through these issues before. So I think that bodes well for where we will end up with the budgeting process in SB1, and more to show on that. So the Senate, again, everybody has adjourned for the weekend, has gone home. Hopefully they also have a nice, pleasant, and romantic Valentine's Day weekend. Next Monday, I think the courthouses are closed, the post offices aren't running, federal buildings are closed because it's President's Day. Now, I will be up here with a number of our staff, and I think our general counsel, longtime general counsel, many of you know, that is Gavin Gadberry, is going to be coming over here. We got some work to do. We'll get that started before everybody shows back up on Tuesday after President's Day. On Monday, we'll be back here Tuesday, and the committee will roll. So let me just close out with a couple things. I think it's already about 3:20. Time always flies when you're having fun. I do want to remind you that you can contact us at any time. You can come see us, 1108 Lavaca, Suite 500 here in Austin. I'm looking out the back window at the Capitol from there. You can also communicate to us by phone, 512-458-1257, or at go to our website, THCA.org, or email us, Clardy or THCA at THCA.org. So it's not hard to find us. Please reach out and get questions. I've been looking here. If I've missed it, I apologize, but I haven't seen any questions roll through today on our live feed. Next time around, if you have thoughts or questions or concerns or ideas, shoot them to me. We'll try to address those while we roll through our weekend review. And again, we're going to have more information coming to you as the pace quickens and things start to move. So we're in the process now with our legislative priorities. We're finally getting some things out of Ledge Council, drafted that we can file. We're talking to our bill authors. And so what I expect to be able to tell you next week is what bills have been filed, who our bill authors are, and when we expect to have those heard. And kind of give you a heads up what's coming down the road. And again, if you can come help us work our legislators, and we'd love to have you. So you might ask yourself, what are those things that you will be working on? What bills will be filed? And I'll go back through just very quickly our THCA priorities that we've been going around meeting with members and staffs already, the House and the Senate, and also with the Lieutenant Governor's office and with Governor Abbott's office. We've been meeting with them on the substance and the meat of the policies and why they're important. So, one thing I want to talk about, we've bullet pointed 5. I feel very good about where we are. One is confirming the provider at-risk eligibility, qualified eligibility. So there are times that we know that residents come in, they have limited means, they're qualified or will qualify for Medicaid, but it's not been processed and approved yet. And we want to make sure those people are tended to, that they're taken in, and they're provided a safe and comfortable, respectful place to be a resident. But there's been a bit of a delay in getting that done and processed. Now, this was an issue that was studied in the interim by the HHSC's Long-Term Care Facilities Council. And a report was produced, very thorough, and I was very proud and pleased that one of our own, one of our board members, Ryan Harrington, has served as the chair of that board and produced that report. So again, very common sense recommendations from the long-term care facility, and this being among them. We also want to support HHSC in making sure they've got the staffing they need to make sure we can work through our eligibility for Medicaid and have those caseworkers available so that we can do that. So that's one of our first items that we are focused on. Secondly, there's a program we are mightily behind, and has to do with a behavioral health component. We all know behavioral health issues are becoming more important. We think this is something we need to begin to develop in the long-term care arena. And so we're looking at getting a pilot program approved and supported in a 10-12 facilities around the state. Right now, we're going to run it, test drive, and see how it works. You don't want to ramp these things up too quick, and you want to build it out carefully and prudently, because we're talking about your tax dollars. But this is on track. We know that those behavioral needs in nursing homes is going to continue to grow, and this is a way that we can do it, where we can provide not just the care that we provided in the past, but that specialized care needed by those struggling with behavioral health issues. And so that's that I'm very encouraged. We're building this on what's been modeled in other states, but the difference is this is Texas. The other states are smaller states, so there's challenges we face. Just the volume, if nothing else, of having to deal with this. And so we're on track with that. More to come on that subject. Quickly, other legislative matters we're dealing with is reforming the IDR process and ending duplicative penalties, where we sometimes see the penalties imposed by both the federal and state level. If there's one place we don't need to have double dipping, it's on penalties assessed against our members. You know, we take this process very seriously. We want to make sure, we do our best to comply with the regulations. If there's a shortfall, if there's mistakes made, we want to address. I'm very proud of how our members self-report, how we go in and we do our best to train and supervise and take care of situations, they very often have very, very good survey results. But when there is an issue and there is a penalty being imposed, we want to make sure it's fair and it's appropriate, and we want the IDR process to work. We've seen real improvement in the last couple of months from the HHSC, but we want to make sure when there is a IDR process invoked, that the IMPRO group that mediates, presides over these processes, that the decisions they make are respected, and particularly when they come out favorable to our facilities. So we're looking at that, and had some meetings this week with getting that legislation filed. I think we have our draft ready, and we'll move that thing forward. So that looks very good. I will tell you that a couple of these things, and the next one, streamlining the change of ownership of the child process. They're very much aligned with what we're seeing in DC with the DOGE process. These are efficiency issues. We know it takes some time to do things, and we're certainly not being overly critical of HHSC, but things that heretofore might have taken 45 days or 2 months, 45, 60 days are now taking 9, 10 months. And that's it's just too much. So let's streamline these processes, put them in place where we can get them done, because it does have a real significant impact on business operations when you're having to run full tilt, full payroll, full everything, but you're receiving no income because it's being held up because the change of ownership paperwork hasn't been processed. So that's one we're working on right now. Chris Traylor's been very helpful. He went over this week, Chris, and had some good conversations with his former colleagues at HHSC. Again, we're seeing some improvement. I think we got some ideas, and expecting this to resolve both operationally within HHSC, but also with us having our legislation out there moving forward. And then finally, this really is a carryover from last session, the PDPM, patient-driven payment model. The funding we verified all that's where it's supposed to be. Now, we got a call this week from a member concerned about with the existing rate structure, how that would impact their operations. The money is there, but we've got to determine how it's going to affect the specifics of our facilities, of our members. The HAC is going back in, and they're working on a new rate schedule. We will see that, but this is something we're watching very, very closely, because it could have, it can have a very dramatic effect on certain facilities. So again, this is a working process. I think we're where we need to be with what happened last session with that budget item, and the PDPM, as we say around here, is already baked into the draft budget, the SB1. But there's that part of it. But the next part is making sure it's implemented in a granular way to our facilities in a fair and equitable way, that our members can then adjust. And as we always do when you're dealing with regulations of the government, you look at the rules, and then you try to figure out the best way to use them. So whether we need to recode, or reapply, or do different things, we've got smart people with our members that run this part of the process. But our job here at THCA is to make sure that it's being put forth accurately. There's been some problems with some of the data sets, some of the underlying figures that just were erroneous. Mistakes can be made. They're working to correct those. And then once we get that data, we can see how it will play out. But right now, I think we're on track for a very good session for the THCA. I'm very excited about what is coming and how this thing is going to work out. There's a lot of moving parts. We are in an interesting environment in Texas with a positive budget surplus, which is very different than a lot of states in the union. And not only is it a surplus, it's a significant surplus, $20 billion plus the rainy day funds. So Texas is, because of, I think, good management, also a thriving economy and hardworking Texas, is in as good a position as any state could be in, and it probably ever has been. Financially, I think we're the envy of the rest of the nation with our rainy day fund and other things we do, and we want to keep that moving forward. So, but again, our job here is to make sure the state recognizes the importance of caring for our elderly, of taking care of those people that back in the day were taking care of us, that we provide those safe, comfortable, respectful places for them to live in the latter part of life. And so that's our mission, that's our challenge. I think we've got great people serving on the committees that affect us, that share those same thoughts and desires. And so I'm expecting a very successful session. There will be other things we'll talk about on some of the budgetary things and where we are on rates, but that's going to have to wait for another week because lo and behold, it is 3:31. I've gone on too much. So we'll put this up on the website. I hope this has been helpful. And again, bear with me because each week we do this, there's going to be more and more to talk about. I'm going to try to keep us at the 30-minute mark, and I'm already 1 minute over. So with that, folks, y'all have a happy Valentine's Day. Have a wonderful weekend. We'll be talking to you soon. Holler at us, call us, get any questions, concerns. Love to see you. God bless you. God bless Texas. We'll talk next time. Bye-bye.